The Odyssey rumbled through the cold emptiness of space as the stars sparkled around it, a speck of humanity hurtling toward the unknown with a crew of 6. Captain Daniel Reyes, a thrill-seeker through and through, sat at the helm, his eyes glued to the swirling backdrop of the Omega Nebula. He marveled at the colors, pooled purples, rich blues, and fiery oranges swirling like a cosmic painting. "Looks beautiful, doesn't it?" Daniel said, glancing at his co-pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Kim. Her eyes were wide, the reflection of the nebula dancing in them. "It doesn't just look beautiful," she replied, her voice filled with wonder. "It's mesmerizing. I mean, who knew space could be this, alive?" "Alive sounds about right," Daniel chuckled. "Just no one tell command that I'm getting distracted again." He tapped his fingers on the console, feeling the pulse of the ship beneath his touch. Sarah smirked, shaking her head. "You know, if you keep daydreaming, I might have to assume command." "Over my dead body," he quipped, barely able to contain his smile. Just then, a beep interrupted their banter, and the console flashed a warning. "Oh-ho," Sarah said, straightening up. "What's that?" Daniel's expression shifted from playful to serious. "Just a minor turbulence," he replied, though inwardly he felt the adrenaline kick in. "I'll stabilize us." With deft hands, he adjusted the controls, modifying their trajectory. The ship shook violently, tossing them about. "Hold on," he yelled, gripping the edges of the console as alarms blared. "We're going to experience a little whoa." A shockwave hit, sending the ship spiraling off course. Everything felt like a roller coaster gone wrong, and Daniel struggled to regain control as the stars twisted around them. "Do something, Daniel," Sarah shouted over the chaos. "I'm trying," he gritted through clenched teeth. His fingers raced across the controls, but it was too late. The Odyssey plunged into a distortion of space, a vast, shimmering rift that pulled them inside. When the turbulence finally settled, the ship was eerily quiet. Daniel opened his eyes, his heart racing. "Status report," he barked, shaking off the disorientation. "Systems are," Sarah paused, her hands flying over the controls. "We're down to minimal power. I think we're in some kind of gravitational wake." "Can we transmit?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "Not a chance," she said grimly. "We're completely cut off." Daniel let out a breath, frustration boiling under the surface. "Let's see if we can." "Captain," Sarah interrupted, her eyes fixed on a monitor. "I'm detecting a life form outside." "What?" Daniel leaned over to look. A faint bluish light was pulsing just beyond the hull. "Get a visual." As Sarah adjusted the monitors, the face of a stunning alien appeared on-screen, ethereal skin with vibrant hues, large expressive eyes, and flowing tendrils glistening with a luminescent glow. She moved closer, her features calm, as if she weren't disturbed by the wreck of the ship. "Are you seeing this?" Daniel asked, barely able to comprehend the sight. "I wish I wasn't. This is not good. We don't even know if it's friendly." Daniel swallowed hard, anxiety overshadowing his common sense. "Maybe it knows our situation. We need to." Before he could finish, the alien's hands glowed brighter, and in a blink, she was inside the ship. Daniel's heart raced as she appeared before them. "Please," she said in a melodic voice, her words flowing like water. "I mean no harm." "Who are you?" Daniel asked, body taut with apprehension. "I am leery of the Aerolon," she replied, glancing quickly at the console. "You are in danger if you remain here. I can help you escape this realm of instability." Daniel exchanged a glance with Sarah, who looked both fascinated and terrified. "Escape?" he echoed, trying to absorb the gravity of the moment. "And what's the price?" "There is no price," Leary assured them. "Only the understanding that coexistence is what connects all life. The energies you have within you are threatening this space, and it may implode if you stay." "Implode?" Sarah interjected, her voice shaking. "What do you mean?" Leary gestured toward the viewport. "This nebula flows with energy, it responds to fear, aggression, and chaos. Once tension is present, it can tear itself apart." Daniel's fascination outweighed his fear. "And you can help us leave?" "Yes, but you must trust me. Emotions will guide us," Leary explained, her glowing hands moving gracefully. "Trust you?" Daniel mused skeptically, furrowing his brow. "We don't even know who you are." "I saved you." Her eyes softened, filled with an emotion he couldn't quite place. "You were about to perish. I do not wish for you to suffer." Daniel hesitated. The odds were slim, and yet Leary radiated a calmness he found compelling. He glanced at Sarah, who had her mouth slightly open, clearly mesmerized. "Fine," he said, choosing instinct over reason. "Let's do it." "Really?" Sarah exclaimed, wide-eyed. "I don't see we have much choice," Daniel replied. "Let's give it a shot." Leary smiled, and the room seemed to brighten as she stepped closer. "Close your eyes and breathe. Allow the energy to surface." Daniel felt a wave of her calmness wash over him as he inhaled deeply. He could almost see the energy in the room shimmering in the air. Together, they focused, the warmth overlapping between Daniel and Sarah, a comforting connection that felt unusual yet right. Leary moved her hands, and the ship began to vibrate, lights flickering back to life. "Hold tight," Leary instructed. "We move as one." In that moment, as the Odyssey responded to the aliens' commands, Daniel's initial skepticism faded. Trust surged as he realized they held not just their destiny but a shared purpose among the vast cosmos. The ship lurched forward. "Here we go." Daniel yelled with a mix of excitement and terror, ready to embrace whatever awaited them in the uncharted future. Chapter 2: Cultural Exchange. The Odyssey emerged from the swirling chaos of the nebula, landing softly on the surface of a vibrant alien world. Daniel Reyes blinked against the dazzling hues that enveloped him. The sky shimmered in tones of lavender and gold, while alien flora waved gracefully in an unseen breeze. He stepped out of the ship, heart racing, ready for whatever awaited them. "Wow," Sarah whispered from beside him, her voice barely above a breath. "It's stunning." "It really is," Daniel agreed, feeling the ground beneath his feet vibrate softly. "What do we do now?" Before Sarah could answer, Leary glided down the ramp, her luminescent skin reflecting the colors of the world. She smiled, the light in her eyes vibrant. "Welcome to Viridia, my home." "Viridia," Daniel repeated, committing the name to memory. "What's the plan now?" "First, we explore," Leary replied. "There is much to show you. Your understanding of our cultures will pave the way for future interactions." Daniel glanced at Sarah, who nodded enthusiastically. "All right, lead the way." As they wandered through the intriguing landscape, Leary pointed out various plants and creatures. "These flowers bloom only in the presence of joy," she said, bending down to touch a bright purple petal that emitted a soft glow. "They respond to emotions. The happier you are, the brighter they become." "That's fantastic," Sarah exclaimed, reaching out to touch them. "What a beautiful concept." Daniel watched as the petals lit up in unison, their colors pulsing with Sarah's excitement. "So this entire world adapts to feelings?" he asked, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. "Indeed, and we are all connected," Leary replied, looking at Daniel earnestly. "Every life form here influences one another. It is a bond we cherish." "Incredible," Daniel said, his mind racing with the implications. "What about your people? How do you connect?" Leary's gaze turned solemn. "Our society thrives on empathy. We can feel one another's emotions through touch or even concentration. It binds us together, creating a tapestry of shared experiences." "Empathy as a foundation for society? That's really different from Earth," Daniel mused. "We're still working on that back home." "Working on it?" Leary tilted her head, concerned. "Why is there so much disconnection?" "Honestly," Sarah chimed in, "humans can be stubborn. We often let fear and mistrust dictate our actions." "Fear can cloud understanding," Leary said gently. "But with your knowledge of cooperation, there's still potential. Let me show you." As they continued their stroll, Leary led them toward a shimmering lake. "Here, you can see the balance of life," she said, gesturing toward an array of creatures flitting across the surface. "Everything coexists peacefully. Look at those colors." Sarah exclaimed, pointing to dazzling amphibious creatures skipping along the water. "They are called Nairi," Leary explained. "They reflect their surroundings, adapting to match the colors around them. Harmony is their essence. Without conflict, they thrive." Daniel leaned forward, intrigued. "So, if we were to take one back to Earth, would it adapt there too?" Leary laughed. "Perhaps, but its true essence would remain tied to this world. It needs the environment to flourish." "What else thrives here?" Daniel asked, feeling a spark of excitement. "Follow me." Leary beckoned, leading them down a path lined with trees that sang softly in the wind, resonating in perfect hums. Daniel exchanged a glance with Sarah, both sharing a mix of wonder and exhilaration. "Can we communicate with the trees?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide. "Only if you're open to it," Leary replied. "Feel their energy." Daniel placed his palm on the nearest trunk, his brow furrowed. "All right, here goes nothing. Let your thoughts flow out," Leary encouraged. "Speak and listen closely." He closed his eyes. "Hello, tree. I'm curious about you." A gentle warmth enveloped his hand, and a rush of images filled his mind, green leaves swaying in the wind, sunlight filtering through branches, rain nourishing the ground. "Sarah, are you feeling this?" Daniel exclaimed, opening his eyes. She had her hands on a different tree and looked awestruck. "It's incredible. I feel what it's like to stand here for centuries." Leary beamed. "Excellent. You are beginning to understand. This place shares its energy willingly. Yet it requires respect." "I get that," Daniel said, realizing how profound this connection felt. "I wish I could show everyone back home." "Someday," Leary replied thoughtfully. But first, we need to build bridges of understanding. As they moved along, they reached a clearing filled with vibrant paintings, expressions of life, emotions, and experiences vibrantly splashed onto large stone canvases. These artworks are the history of my people, Leary explained. Each piece tells a story expressing feelings rather than facts. I love it, Sarah said, staring at a painting of intertwined figures, colors swirling around them. It's so alive. Daniel stepped closer, tracing the intricate designs with his fingers. It feels like they're saying something. Art should evoke feelings, Leary replied. It's a conversation without words. What do you feel when you look at it? Daniel paused, searching within. Hope and connection. It's like they're all part of something greater. Exactly. Leary clapped her hands together joyfully. You've grasped the essence of our culture. Can we create art together? Sarah suggested, eyes sparkling. I'd love to. Absolutely, Leary said. Let's gather the colors from our surroundings and express our shared experience. Together, they collected vivid pigments from the plants and soil, mixing them on flat stones. Leary guided them, teaching the basics of their techniques, all while sharing tales of her people's history. As they painted under the soft glow of twilight, laughter echoed through the clearing. This is so much fun, Sarah exclaimed, splattering paint onto a canvas that resembled an abstract promise of unity. Hey, careful, Daniel laughed, playfully nudging her shoulder. We're supposed to create something profound, not a mess. Art is a mess, Leary chimed in, grinning. Don't be afraid. Let your creativity run wild. Daniel took a deep breath, feeling the freedom of expression. He dipped his hands in colors, splashing them onto the canvas. Felt liberating. As they created, Leary leaned closer to Daniel, her gaze intense yet tender. Human creativity fascinates me. You express emotions in such varied ways. Emotions aren't always easy for us, Daniel confessed, glancing at her. Sometimes we hold back instead of expressing. Then let this be an opportunity, she said gently. In art, you can show all sides of yourself. With her words echoing in his mind, Daniel poured his heart out onto the canvas, etching his soul alongside Sarah's vibrant pigments. As dusk settled upon Viridia, the three of them stood back, gazing at their work, a fusion of colors radiating emotions they had shared throughout the day. Wow, Daniel breathed, taking it all in. We did this together. Together, Sarah echoed softly, the words hanging between them. Leary's smile widened. You have shown me your hearts already. I look forward to more shared experiences. In that moment, under the twinkling stars of a vibrant new world, Daniel felt a connection emerge. Not just to Leary or Sarah, but to something larger. Their laugh, their art, and their understanding bridged the gap of difference, illuminating a warm path to the future. Chapter 3: Bonds of Trust. The sun dipped below the horizon of Viridia, painting the sky in vibrant shades of pink and orange. Daniel stood in the clearing, gazing at the masterpiece they'd created. A fusion of colors sprawled across the canvas, capturing the joy of their day together. He felt a unique sense of accomplishment growing within him. Look at that, Sarah said, admiring their work. I can't believe we made something so beautiful. It's definitely a collaborative effort, Daniel said, crossing his arms. But I think Leary deserves the most credit. She inspired us. Leary beamed, her eyes sparkling with delight. The energy you shared created it. Each stroke of paint represented your emotions. It tells a story that can be felt, not just seen. Speaking of stories, what's next? Daniel asked, turning to Leary. What else do you want to show us? There is a sacred grove nearby, Leary replied, her tone becoming more solemn. It's a place of reflection and understanding. You may find much about yourselves there. Sounds intriguing, Sarah said, her curiosity piqued. Lead the way, Leary. With a nod, Leary began to walk, and the pair fell in line beside her. As they ventured deeper into the vibrant alien landscape, the hum of the flora surrounded them like a gentle lullaby. What exactly happens in this grove? Daniel asked, trying to gather more information. It is a sanctuary where our people meditate and connect with the life force of Viridia, Leary explained. It can help you discover deeper truths about yourself and your intentions. Sounds heavy, Daniel murmured, but I think I want to give it a shot. Me too, Sarah added. It might help us understand more about the differences between our worlds. Finally, they reached the grove, a majestic enclave filled with towering trees that sparkled as though dusted with stars. The air felt charged with energy, and Daniel could feel his heartbeat synchronizing with the gentle rhythm of the surroundings. "This place is incredible," he breathed, stepping further inside. Leary gestured for them to sit on a bed of soft, luminous moss. "Take a moment to center yourselves. Close your eyes, breathe, and listen." Daniel and Sarah exchanged glances but complied, settling onto the moss. Daniel inhaled the faint fragrances of exotic blooms, allowing the serenity to wash over him. "What do we do now?" he whispered. "Focus on what you want to learn. Open your hearts and minds," Leary instructed. Minutes passed, time feeling elastic in this vivid sanctuary. Suddenly, a gentle melody filled the air, causing Daniel to open his eyes. "Can you hear that?" he asked, glancing at Sarah. "I think so," she replied, tilting her head. "What even is that?" "That's the grove," Leary said softly. "The trees resonate with the energy around them. They send messages through sound." "Messages?" Sarah asked, intrigued. "What kind of messages?" "Each note represents a feeling. The harmonies intertwine to convey thoughts and ideas." Leary closed her eyes and began to sway gently. "Listen closely, the grove wants to teach you." Daniel focused again, tuning into the music, letting it pull him in. As the sound filled him, emotions began to surface, an ebb and flow of joy, fear, anxiety, and excitement. "I don't get it," he murmured. "What does this mean?" "It's about balance," Leary explained, keeping her voice steady. "You must acknowledge all the emotions within you." Daniel glanced at Sarah. "What do you think?" "I think it's beautiful," she replied. "But it's also overwhelming. My mind keeps racing." "Try feeling your way through it," Leary suggested. "Tell me what burdens you." Daniel took a deep breath, trying to find clarity. "I worry about our people back home. The tension is rising and I feel helpless." "Helplessness is a powerful emotion," Leary affirmed. "What can you do differently?" "Talking, I guess," Daniel said slowly. "But sometimes it feels futile. Communication is key." "Words hold power," Leary said. "Have you connected with someone and shared honestly?" "Not lately," he admitted, his thoughts drifting towards his crewmates. "We know we need to talk about it, but it often gets sidetracked." "Maybe this is your opportunity," she encouraged, eyes bright. "I've never really thought about it that way," Daniel said, feeling the weight lift slightly. "I guess I can't just sit back and leave it to others." "True," Leary replied, observing him with a gentle smile. "You can inspire those around you to engage as well." "Sarah?" Daniel turned to her. "What about you? What are you feeling?" "I feel torn, honestly," she began, her voice steady despite the vulnerability. "I see the beauty here, but I can't shake the feeling that everything we know is at risk. Every moment of joy feels bittersweet." "Bittersweet can spark motivation," Leary said. "What calls you to act?" "Honestly, I want to spread this sense of joy I feel here to others," Sarah said, her voice strong. "I want them to see that connection is possible." Daniel smiled at her, feeling a swell of pride. "That's a great way to channel those feelings." "Exactly. And do you know what that begins with?" Leary asked, leaning closer. "What?" Sarah and Daniel asked in unison. "Conversations," Leary said, her eyes shining with clarity. "You can act as a bridge, just as this grove connects each of us to one another." "I guess we need to go back and be the first to reach out," Daniel said. "Open a dialogue. We can start right now. Then return here often and share with each other," Leary encouraged. "It's how we grow." Sarah nodded eagerly. "Yes. Let's promise to reach out and connect with more people. No more holding back." Daniel extended his hand, taking Sarah's and then reaching for Leary's. "To opening up," he declared firmly. "To opening. Full that could transcend worlds." This moment wasn't just about understanding feelings, it was about connection, and he wouldn't let that slip away. In the sacred quiet of Viridia, something essential had shifted. And together, they felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. Chapter 4, A New World. The warm light of dawn broke over Viridia, washing the vibrant landscape in a soft glow. Daniel stood outside the Odyssey, savoring the crisp air and the sweet scent of flowers that surrounded him. He felt invigorated, ready to tackle whatever came next. "Morning, Captain." Sarah called from inside the ship, her voice bright with energy. "Ready for another day of adventure?" "Absolutely," Daniel responded, stepping through the doorway. "What's the plan today?" "I was thinking," Sarah began, excitement spilling from her words. "We should visit that marketplace Leary mentioned. You know, the one where her people exchange goods and stories." "Sounds perfect," he said, glancing around for Leary. "Have you seen her?" "Right here," Leary said, appearing effortlessly as if she had materialized from the air itself. "Are you both prepared for a journey through our culture?" "More than ready," Sarah replied eagerly, her eyes sparkling. "Lead the way." Daniel added, feeling the anticipation build within him. As they descended a narrow path lined with trees, they were greeted by the sounds of laughter and chatter. The marketplace was alive, colors danced in the sunlight, stalls adorned with vivid textiles and enticing aromas beckoning from every corner. "Welcome to the heart of Viridia," Leary declared, her arms open wide. "Wow," Daniel breathed. "This is incredible." "I know, right?" Sarah said, her enthusiasm palpable. "Just look at all the different stalls." They wandered through the marketplace, their senses overwhelmed by sights, sounds, and smells. Leary guided them, introducing them to various stall owners, each with their own unique offerings. "This is Oral," Leary said, stopping at a stall overflowing with shimmering gems. "He specializes in vibrant stones and crystals." "Ah, Earthlings!" Oral exclaimed, his face lighting up. "I have been eager to meet you. These stones can enhance energy and clarity." "Can we take a look?" Daniel asked, leaning closer to the display. "Of course. Choose freely," Oral encouraged. "These are imbued with the essence of Viridia." As Daniel picked up a smooth, blue stone, he felt a pulse of warmth in his hand. "What does this one do?" "Ah, that is a seraphite," Oral explained. "It promotes balance and inner peace." "A fine choice." "Inner peace sounds perfect right now," Daniel mused, glancing at Sarah. "Let's get one," Sarah suggested, searching through the pile. "Oh, look at this one. It's so sparkly." Daniel laughed, watching her excitement as she clutched a pink-hued gem. "Looks like you found a treasure." "I'll take it," she said, pleased. "Thank you, Oral." "May it serve you well," Oral said warmly as they moved on. As they continued, they reached a stall filled with various food items. Fruits unlike anything Daniel had ever seen. "Can we taste?" Daniel asked. "Absolutely. This is Yari," Leary explained, pointing to the vendor, who had a lively smile. "Greetings. Try my fruits. They burst with flavor," Yari exclaimed, offering them brightly colored orbs. Daniel picked one, intrigued by its iridescent skin. "What do we do?" "Just take a bite," Yari encouraged, his eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. Taking a deep breath, Daniel bit into the fruit, and an explosion of sweetness flooded his mouth. "Wow!" he exclaimed, eyes wide. "This is amazing." Sarah followed suit, her face lighting up. "I think this might be the best fruit I've ever had." Yari grinned. "I grow the best here on Viridia. One for you all, just to share our joy." "Thank you," Sarah said, joy radiating from her voice. As the trio moved deeper into the market, they stumbled upon a booth filled with intricate crafts, handmade trinkets, and delicate pieces. "Look at that." Daniel pointed to a beautifully carved bracelet adorned with symbols. "Those represent various emotions and stories," Leary explained, gently picking one up. "Each piece is a tale woven into its design." Daniel was captivated. "That's so clever. Can we create our own?" "I would love that," Sarah said, her eyes sparkling. Leary smiled. "Certainly. Let's find someone who can guide us." They approached a gentle-looking man sitting behind a table stacked with glimmering tools. "I'm Corian," he said, looking up, his smile warm. "Would you like to create?" "Yes," Daniel replied excitedly. "What do we need to do?" "Choose your materials first. There's a selection of colors, shapes, and sizes," Corian explained, gesturing toward a colorful array of beads and string. As they browsed, Sarah picked up a handful of vibrant beads. "These are perfect," she exclaimed. "I love the colors." Daniel chose some darker stones, feeling a connection to the earthiness. "I'll go with these. They remind me of home." Leary perceived their selections intently. A balance of light and dark. "Beautiful. I'm curious. How do you express yourself in this form?" Daniel asked Corian as they began stringing the beads together. "Each piece reflects the artist's heart," Corian replied, working with deft fingers. "You share yourself with the world through your creation." Daniel's brows furrowed as he worked on his bracelet. "So it's like that emotional connection you mentioned before? Our stories become part of the work." "Exactly," Leary affirmed. "When you weave your experience into art, you allow your emotions a voice." "Pretty profound," Daniel said, focusing on the task at hand. "I've never really thought about it like this." "Most don't," Corian replied with a soft laugh. Art often goes unrecognized. Allow your feelings to guide you, and you will find your path. Minutes passed as they laughed and chatted. All right, done, Sarah said triumphantly, holding up her colorful bracelet. Nice work. Looks like a rainbow, Daniel remarked, admiring her creation. And yours? Sarah asked, tilting her head. Dark, but I hope it represents strength, he replied thoughtfully. Strength and joy woven together, Leary added. They are not opposites. They coexist. Daniel smiled. I didn't think about it that way. As they finished, Corian held up their creations with a proud grin. You have each expressed something unique. Carry it with pride. Thanks, Corian, Daniel said, feeling an unexpected attachment to the piece. Much appreciated. I think we'll cherish these, Sarah added, eyeing her bracelet. As they exited the marketplace, Daniel felt illuminated by the connections they had forged in just a short time. What a day, Sarah exclaimed. I can't believe we've met so many wonderful people. Truly, Leary agreed, looking around at the vibrant market softly fading into twilight. Community brings life. Imagine if we could recreate this back home, Daniel said, pondering aloud. A place where connections thrive and cultures blend seamlessly. We should start trying, Sarah suggested, her voice serious. It's up to us to bridge that gap. I like that idea, Daniel said. We can gather stories, build understanding. Yes, everyone's story adds to the collective, Leary interjected, eyes brightening. As they made their way back along the familiar path to the ship, a comfortable silence filled the air. Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that they were embarking on a journey far more significant than he had ever anticipated. Open dialogue had led to tangible creations, and the friendships they had cultivated spoke volumes. Excitement churned in his stomach as they approached the Odyssey. He turned to Sarah and Leary. What's next for us? Wherever our hearts lead, Leary said. Let's make it a journey of connection and discovery, Sarah added, smiling. With that shared purpose igniting within them, Daniel knew they were on the threshold of something transformative. Together, they would strive to nurture this newfound connection, not just for themselves, but for those waiting back home. Chapter 5, Choosing Peace. The stars twinkled brightly above the Odyssey as Daniel stood on the ship's deck, gazing out into the vastness of space. He could still feel the vibrant energy from their day in Viridia swirling around him. Each adventure, each connection made had been a stepping stone towards something profound. Thinking about home? Sarah asked as she joined him, her voice breaking the silence. Yeah, Daniel replied, turning his gaze toward her. I can't stop wondering how we can bring what we've learned back to Earth. It feels like we have something valuable to share. I agree, Sarah smiled, leaning against the ship's railing. We've experienced so much about empathy, community, and connection. How do you think we start? It needs to come from us first, Daniel replied thoughtfully. We should gather our crew, share what we learned, and hope it inspires others. Just then, Leary appeared behind them, her graceful form illuminated by the starlight. What troubles you? Not troubles, opportunities, Sarah corrected. We were just discussing how to bring what we've learned back home. Leary nodded slowly. An important endeavor. Your people may need guidance on connecting with one another. Can you help us? Daniel asked, turning to Leary with a hopeful expression. We want to create a summit, something where both humans and Erelon can come together. Of course, Leary replied without hesitation. But remember, it requires open hearts and minds from both sides. Let's get started, Sarah suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. What do we need to do? First, we need to communicate with the leaders on Earth. They must understand the importance of this exchange, Leary explained. We can create a message that resonates with them. All right, let's draft something that expresses our vision, Daniel said, moving back towards the ship's control panel. I'll interface with the communication array. Good idea. While you do that, I'll gather some materials to illustrate our findings, Sarah added, already rummaging through supplies. After minutes of clicking and typing, Daniel turned to Leary. I'm ready to send the message. Are you sure the Earth's systems can handle it? Trust in the energy of your words. The more genuine you are, the more they will resonate, Leary replied, a serene confidence in her tone. We'll do our best, Daniel said, pressing a few buttons. A bright light flickered as they initiated the transmission. As the message traveled through the cosmic void, Daniel felt a wave of nerves wash over him. What if they reject us? If they do, we'll refine our approach, Leary reassured him. This is a new beginning for everyone involved. A few moments later, the communication array beeped warmly. We have a connection, Daniel exclaimed, receiving a reply. Perfect. Sarah chimed, her eyes wide with excitement. They gathered around the console as a holographic image of a representative from Earth flickered into view. Greeting, Captain Reyes, the representative said, his tone formal but curious. We received your transmission and found your proposal intriguing. Thank you for responding, Daniel said, his heart racing. We're eager to establish a summit where our worlds can come together and exchange ideas. What does this summit entail? The representative asked, folding his arms. It's about empathy, understanding, and using art and stories to bridge our differences, Daniel explained, nodding toward Sarah. We've experienced incredible connection during our time on Viridia, and we believe it can spark something special among our people. The representative's brow furrowed. But why should we trust the Arelon? We have tensions. Our history is not the most peaceful. Daniel leaned in closer. Understanding starts with dialogue. This summit provides a platform for all voices. It's a chance to redefine connections. Connections can change everything, Leary added, her voice steady and sincere. Empathy is the path forward. The representative hesitated, glancing sideways. I'll need to consult with others before a decision is made. But your intentions are noted. Thank you, Daniel replied. Just remember, change begins at the individual level. Make it happen, the representative said before the connection was cut. What did I tell you? Leary smiled, a calm radiating from her. It has begun. That felt good, Sarah said with a renewed sense of purpose. Where do we start next? We gather everyone to discuss next steps, Daniel suggested. We need to get input from the crew and allow their voices to be part of this. Agreed, Leary said, nodding. Empower those who will join the conversation. Minutes later, Daniel and Sarah gathered the crew, a group of eager explorers who had braved the unknown together. They filled the common area of the Odyssey, a blend of human and Arelon energies swirling around them. Thank you all for joining, Daniel began, standing at the front. We've had an incredible experience on Viridia, and I believe it's crucial we share our learning. What did you mean by learning? Lieutenant Sarah Kim asked, curiosity evident in her tone. We learned that connection transcends differences, Daniel explained, motioning to Leary. We witnessed how the Arelon share their culture through empathy and emotion. It's about art, stories, and understanding, Sarah added. We think we can create a summit where we can build bridges instead of focusing on conflict. What if they reject our ideas? One of the crew members asked, his brows furrowing. What if it's all a waste of time? Even if this doesn't lead to immediate change, it could plant seeds for later, Leary reassured them. Every effort has the potential to encourage understanding. Daniel nodded. Every journey starts small. We've all experienced the importance of communication on Viridia, and that's what this summit could offer. I love the idea, Sarah said, her voice filled with enthusiasm. We should build presentations showcasing what we've discovered. Let's combine our skills, Daniel suggested. Everyone has something to contribute. As the crew began to brainstorm ideas, a cascade of creativity emerged. They assigned tasks, identified key themes, and gathered materials for demonstrations. I can create visual displays of what we learned about the Arelon, one crewmate suggested. I'll gather stories and insights from each of you, Daniel said, clapping his hands together. Let's make this happen. Hours melted into days as the crew worked tirelessly. Leary began forming connections with some of the crew members, opening their eyes to different ways of communication. Imagine if we incorporated some Arelon practices, Leary suggested. Feeling is just as important as speaking. Let's do it, Daniel said, realizing the potential synergy between their two worlds. Integrating the arts and emotions will deepen the impact. As their preparations reached fullness, Daniel began to notice a change within himself. They had transformed from nervous explorers to passionate advocates for change, united under a singular vision. Finally, the day arrived. Daniel stood at the front of the room, flanked by Sarah and Leary, hearts pounding in anticipation. Welcome, everyone, he said, addressing the mixed assembly of humans and Arelons. Today is more than just a summit, it's about building connections that can last a lifetime. As the presentations rolled out, showcasing the fusion of insights, art, and stories, Daniel felt a swell of pride at all they had accomplished. One by one, voices rang out emphasizing shared experiences and aspirations. The room filled with questions, laughter, and a genuine feeling of community. And for the first time in a long while, Daniel felt like he was part of something greater. Together with Leary and Sarah beside him, he saw a future filled with promise, one that could thrive on empathy, creativity, and understanding. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they had unlocked a powerful tool: connection. And that was only the beginning.